Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another weekly market review for F45trading.com. Thank you for joining us. This week we'll be discussing Monday, September 9th to Friday, September 13th. And we're finally back into the swing of things here after summer vacation. Labor Day's come and gone. And it's the first full week of trading after non-farm payroll and all the other wild market news that happened last week. So going into this week, this is the economic calendar that we're looking at so far. We've got some pound sterling news coming up to start off Monday at 4:30 a.m. New York time, kicking off with GDP meeting minutes and manufacturing production. We have some medium impact Aussie news late in the day on Monday, and then some more medium impact news on Tuesday. All in all, Monday and Tuesday, they don't seem to be very eventful days. We may see a little bit of movement on the pound dollar if you trade that, and it should be moving nicely come early London Open on Monday. Going into Wednesday, we have some more medium impact news events to start off. New York Open at 8:30 a.m. New York time with the core PPI and PPI meeting minutes, and then we have crude oil inventories, which we'll all be watching because crude oil, I'll be discussing that here in a few minutes. Crude oil has been on a nice little run the past week, and so I'll be discussing that here a little bit, and I think this Wednesday's inventories are going to sort of add a little more fuel to that fire, but I'll go into that chart here in a minute. And then that leads us into Thursday. Now, Thursday, we're going to see a little bit of a ride here. Starting off, obviously, we do have OPEC meetings all day on Thursday, which, again, will affect oil. And then that leads us into the Euro news. We've got the monetary policy statement, and basically that's going to send the Euro for a bit of a run, or at least I'm hoping it will. We have ECB press conference, early New York Open, and then capping off the New York range with CPI and core CPI. And then going into Friday, we have U.S. dollar core retail and retail sales. So all in all, we should have a pretty good week. I apologize, guys. My throat's a little raspy right now. So we should have a fairly good week of trading here. I don't see any real landmines that I think you have to navigate through other than, of course, Thursday. Do not trade the euro on Thursday for obvious reasons. You never want to trade the day of these monetary policy statements, or at least you definitely don't want to have a position open before this news comes available. You definitely want to wait until after the news has been released to find out if it's favorable or not, and then go from there at your own accord. But you definitely don't want to be involved in this, especially if it decides to really take a run out of nowhere and catch you off guard. So, okay, anyway, that being said, we have U.S. dollar to start off, as always. Had a nice run up early into last week, and then price fell off rapidly starting, this was on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week. And again, the non-farm basically did nothing. It shot price down once, shot price down again, and then this is our opening candle here, of course, on, this is, at the time of this recording, it's Sunday evening, and so the early Asian session has already started for Monday's trading. So that's what this candle is right here. But I believe we've seen the downside on the U.S. dollar for this week anyway. I'm anticipating price running higher. And now I want to see what happens when we get into, obviously, the 98.70 level, if we see any level of resistance up in this area here. If we don't, though, I would assume that we're going to probably make one more high. If we go out to the weekly, we can see in here, we have this bit of a gap in here in price. And, of course, it goes all the way, I've got 100 on the charts all the way up into here, but I'll just run this down to an even 100, right about there. So I think we just kind of stabbed up into this last week and rejected, and then we rebalanced back off of these old highs in here very nicely. So I think if the U.S. dollar is going to remain bullish, we should see that happen this week, and I want to see price push above the 98.70 level. You could probably get in on lots of trades from there until there, or from now until there as well too. I'd like to see the market shape up a little bit before I get into anything personally, but demo account, of course. But I believe by the end of the week, as long as we can get through this 98.70 level here, we should see price above the old high from last week. If for whatever reason we fail to get above 98.70, I think we could see a continued downward trend in the US dollar. Kind of something how we saw sort of in here, where price ran up, created a high, came up and had a failure swing in here, and then we had a nice deep retracement. If that happens, it'll happen right around that 98.70 level, and price will come up, and then I think it'll roll over, and we could see price, for a short period of time under here or under here. I don't really anticipate that happening. I think obviously we're in, as you can see, you don't even need a trend line. You can see a nice bullish price action higher. And I don't see anything changing from the economic data that's come out. The U.S. hasn't been doing any, they had done one interest rate reduction earlier on, a couple months ago, and they don't have one planned, I think, until it's November, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. I will double check, though. But I believe it's later on in the year. And I think that we'll still see price wanting to push higher because of that. U.S. has obviously had some fairly good economic data as of lately, and the trade wars obviously as well too. They've been doing nothing but pushing price up higher and higher, which it really shouldn't be, but it is. So I don't see that changing any time. So U.S. dollar getting stronger. If we look at Euro USD, I think what we'll probably end up doing here again is we'll start to shoot lower on the week. And coming into Thursday, though, I'm going to hold off on reserving any comments on Euro until after the monetary policy statements. We could see price jack down to here, or they may want to just do a real quick whipsaw, run any stops above market, and then run it lower. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I do think that for the next 2 days, at least anyway, we'll see price wanting to decline and go down into these areas down here. So last week, this is what I was basically looking for on non-farm, was price to run back up into this consolidation level in here and a failure swing, and that's exactly what we got here. I didn't advertise this obviously on our review last week because last week hadn't happened yet. So this week here, I'll be looking for continuation to the downside. And I don't want to see price run back up into these levels again. Here, let me clear this up a little bit so I can get a... So I'd like to see, I don't want to see price again run any higher than this high in here. So 1055, 1050, anywhere on the radar screen there. We may see price wanting to drift up to that going into Monday. But come Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd like to see price continue down from there and rebalance somewhere right around the 109.80 level. That's sort of what I'd be looking for Euro. So my expectations aren't very high. I don't think we're going to see massive, 200 pips of ranges out of it until probably Thursday, and then we'll see this thing sort of whip around all over. But if I do see a trade set up on this, I'll be letting our members know, of course. And but I won't be doing a lot of trading on this one personally myself either, just because of the monetary policy. Going into cable, we had a nice run on cable last week, with the exception of Friday, which sort of tapered off. And we're coming down into this old consolidation level down here from last Thursday. And I think as long as we can hold these levels, you see this big block of price right in here, as long as we can hold price above that level, I think we should still see bullish activity on the pound dollar. So what I'd like to see price come down into here starting out early in the week, and then I want to see a movement higher. That, of course, is contingent on the fact that we still have lower prices on Euro GBP. We hit this area in here last week, and if you'll remember from previous recordings, I said I was looking for price to do exactly what it did in here. It did a little more consolidation than what I was expecting, but ultimately, as we dropped down into here, I said I want to see price run up, fail up in here with some heavy resistance, which we got right in here, and then reject and finish off the week down in here, and that's exactly what we got. Price actually ran a little bit lower than what I was expecting. I was only calling for about 89.60 on the downside, and we actually got 89.40 on the downside. So, but what I'd like to see is basically more of the same. I want to see them run price up just briefly, run up into this consolidation level in here, hit some heavy resistance, and then continue down. And I want to see if they can run below this old low down in here for the end of this week. So if they do that, that should give fuel to the fire for pound dollar to run higher, and in which case I believe that the pound dollar could easily be up back into this range in price before the end of the week. So if, however, we start to lose this level in here, then I believe there is a good chance that price could sink down to 121.20, back down into here for the week. So just depending on what they want to do, I'm going to be looking for price to stay bullish. But again, if we do lose that level, then I'll be looking to take a bearish short-term stance on cable, and then probably see if we can't eke out a few pips down into here to 121.20 to finish off the week, and then we'll look at next week and see what that brings us. US CAD, I was actually wrong on US CAD. So what I said on US CAD was all this consolidation in here. I wanted to see price pop above and run down, and then grab some longs. And then on NFP Friday, I wanted to see price basically stop short in here, reject, and then go higher. We got basically a day here, did exactly what I wanted, and then this big down day in here did exactly what I wanted. And then this was Thursday's candle. It dropped even lower, and then into Friday's candle, and it rebalanced off of the 131.65 level. So price went a little bit deeper than what I had thought initially, and to be honest with you, I was hoping we would have seen price up into here. We didn't get that, but I'm going to be watching for it this week here. There was some pretty strong economic news on the Canadian dollar front last week, and so that led to this decline on US CAD, and obviously the drop in US dollar as well too. The drop in the subsequent consolidation allowed the US CAD to run lower as well too. But as long as we have continuation to the upside on dollar, then I think we could see the price stabilize on US CAD and continue higher like I was looking. But it did break a major range in here. This is a very bullish to consolidated range anyway, and then we dropped out pretty significantly. So I'm actually looking to see what this pair opens up like this week. Do we get a run back higher? If we do, and let me just clear this up here for you guys a little bit, just because I want to make sure it's nice and clear. If we come back up and we start running back above this candle in here, then there's a good chance that we could see price get all the way back up into this consolidation range and possibly take out that high. If, however, we come up and then hit resistance into this area, I think support would be found probably right around the 30.88 to 39, about 30.90 level. Basically a run below this low under here, I think, is where we're going to be headed if price doesn't get above this high here. Okay, so I'm going to sort of wait for US CAD to shape up a little bit, but and hopefully I'll have a little bit better analysis, a little more detailed for you next week on the free stuff. Our members obviously are Tuesday London Open. I'll have this dialed in, and I'll have some specific levels for you guys to look at and where I think this thing is going to go going forward into the week. So if you're a member, you can watch for that. If not, you guys will just have to wait until the free stuff comes out next week. Okay, real quickly, want to talk about gold real quickly. We had gold run back into this level that I was looking at. I was hoping it would have continued higher, but obviously the decline in the the sudden run up in the US dollar has sort of capped off this acceleration in the gold market, and we saw prices decline quite steeply last week, and now we sort of rebalanced off of the 1510 level. And I'm waiting and watching to see what they want to do. I believe there's cause for this to jump down. And you see these 1, 2, 3, 4 lows in here. Everybody's looking at this as support and for price to bounce again. And it could definitely do that. I'm more or less, though, looking for them to shoot down and run all the lows underneath here, because we do have a tiny little gap right in this area over here, and you can all see that. That's a pretty common gap. There's a good chance that price could come all the way down into there. I'm still very bullish on gold, and I think we're going to see prices move higher, especially with this trade war that's continuing between U.S. and China. Again, all the big money's flocking into gold and pushing that market up. I think, to be honest with you, I think we could see gold at 19. Oh, and this chart doesn't show it, but you'll see if you look back on other gold charts, you'll see 1900 as a high. I think we could definitely see gold up to 1900. It won't be this year, but maybe into next year, especially the more uncertainty there is in some of the global economic markets that they have out there. But I'll be watching for this to see if we can get any type of setup like this. I'm definitely bullish gold, but short term, I'd like to see a little bit more of a retracement to the downside, and then hopefully we'll pick up some longs under these levels here. It may not get all the way down to here, but I'll be looking for them to do just a quick sweep underneath these lows at the very least, and then a continuation to the upside. Gold, that was gold. Now, crude oil. Really tight consolidation for pretty much all of August, and then finally it came down once and rejected here early September, and the past 4 days have been straight up. So to be honest with you, OPEC has come in and they're going to continue to cut production. We've got OPEC meetings coming up this week. The crude oil inventory supplies have been doing everything they can to fuel the flames under this sort of consolidation wedge pattern to a rise higher. So I think that we could see higher prices in oil. However, and we did just come under and wick under these lows here. Now, I was really hoping that price was going to come back down and really convincingly run these lows. A part of me still believes that's going to happen. And a part of me still believes that we're going to be trading down at $48 before the end of the year on oil. And the big thing is, seasonally speaking, oil hits its high in October. So we could easily see them come up above this high and maybe even this high into October, and then spike this thing lower for the rest of November, December, and easily come in under 49 to finish off the year. And then next year, obviously, the bulls start to step in. The first 2 quarters of the year, and crude oil goes bullish again, and then it kind of goes sideways to dip lower in June, July, and then August gets a little bit bullish again, and then comes off a little bit in September, and then runs back higher again in October. So the cycle continues. But that being said, we're looking at some nice bullish activity into here. Last Friday really came back down, jammed in. Let me zoom in a little bit here. You can see how price jammed in off of this consolidation level in here. You can see it a little bit better on a 4-hour. See how they consolidated in here, ran down, hit the lows, and then shot prices straight up. Ran all the highs and then came right back down and balanced again off of this consolidation level. Nice rejection off of that level. So we have a little bit of a gap in here that you can see from the close on Friday to the open on Sunday here. I'd like to see them come back down and close that in and then shoot this thing straight higher. So I'll be watching for that. If, however, we close this gap and price starts to fall below 55.90, then there's a good chance that they could want to run out this low here and maybe even take this thing down for another swing. But so far, very encouraging bullish price action on oil. And I would imagine that we're probably, and let me just move this over now because that low is no longer right there. So that's the new low that we're looking at. So if we lose this 55.90, like I say, we could see price run lower, but I think they're going to prop this up at least for the next couple of weeks anyway. We could see price start to run out and finally break out of this range that it's been in here for the past month. It'd be nice to see that range broken on crude oil. So then you can see how came in, made a low, made a higher low, well, almost a higher low, but the bodies of the candles closing and opening, we had a lower one, a higher one, a higher one. So I'm assuming we're probably going to continue on that direction, and probably as a target on the week, try to take out this high here and maybe even these highs here if we get a really bullish week. but that'll remain to be seen. So I'd like to see them come in, fill that gap, and then see where it goes from there. But I'd be looking for higher prices on oil for the week. So hopefully this helps you guys out a little bit. And again, our members will get some more detailed information come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. And for everybody else, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. I'll look forward to you watching for next weekly review next Sunday. So thanks again. Hope you guys have a great week of trading, and we'll talk to you then.